let's start off with free agency winners.
All right.
A lot has happened over the past 2 days, and stuff is currently happening right now. We just saw the Bills make 2 big-time moves in signing O.J. Howard and Von Miller. That's huge for them. But who are your free agent winners so far? What teams stand out to you that made some great moves in free agency?
All right, I guess I'll go first.
Right before you go,
right.
the O.J. Howard deal, it's only 1 year, $3.5 million up to $5 million. So a very cheap deal. I'm sick the Jets didn't jump in there. I like Uzama, but we need a tight end.
All right, my free agent winners. One of them has to be the New York Jets. You guys went above and beyond. You guys brought in every need that you guys had. It seemed as if you guys had addressed it in these past couple of days. You needed a couple pieces in the secondary. You go and you bring in Jordan Whitehead. You go and you bring in DJ Reed. Firm. Corners, I think you guys will address in the draft, so I'm not too pressed about it. It would have been tough for you guys to get one of the upper echelon corners. And let's be real, they're really, outside of J.C. Jackson, was there any corner that you guys desperately wanted?
We got DJ Reed.
Corner.
I thought he played safety.
No, he's corner.
Interesting. Okay, I mean, yeah. I guess you can't be too upset at that either. You bring in C.J. Uzama when you guys had a desperate need for tight end. Last year, you guys were running Tyler Kroft, and you guys preached to me nonstop how you guys were absolutely done with having him be your starting tight end. So you bring in C.J. Uzama, who just came off his best statistical season with the Bengals. That's to the crib. And then you bring in Laken Tomlinson to continue to add on to this offensive line to protect Zach Wilson, which is essentially the main purpose is to put Zach Wilson in a position to be successful. Now things are coming into place for the Jets. Now you guys have two really great draft picks this upcoming draft that you can use to address maybe getting another corner and maybe getting Zach Wilson another weapon on the outside. Zach Wilson's now going in with C.J. Uzama. You have Elijah Moore. You're going to have Corey Davis. Braxton Berrios is now resigning. I thought that was really huge, especially because Braxton Berrios was the one guy there that was with Zach towards the back half of the season where Zach really started to grow into his own, really start to break out to a degree. Statistically wasn't there, but watching the game, you saw him go through his progressions a lot smoother. He made a lot more smart decisions, and Braxton was there, and you're happy to bring him back. All-pro returner. That's always great to have as well. You want to make sure that your special teams on lock, and Berrios definitely does do that. So Jets are definitely one of my winners. Number 2, and this one's unfortunate, you got to give it to the LA Chargers. Chargers have had a spectacular offseason. Bring in J.C. Jackson. I think it was a 5-year, $82 million, $84 million, something around those lines. Sebastian Joseph, defensive tackle. That's huge, especially because they were amongst one of the worst run-stopping defenses in the league. And then you add Khalil Mack on a no-brainer trade. I believe they gave up a second round and a fifth-round pick, sixth-round pick. You do that with your eyes closed, especially now that you're pairing Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa. And I thought, Khalil Mack was really irrelevant last season. You look, he missed time. He had almost a sack in every single game last season that he played. He was great. If you average it out in terms of the games that he played. I believe he played
9 games.
I think he had 8 sacks. He was great. So now you bring that to pair with Joey Bosa. They're going to be virtually unstoppable. So these are my 2 winners.
Yeah, I agree. Chargers and Jets. I have one other team, but I want to talk about the Jets a little bit because that's our squad. You know, that's the team that we've been riding down for these last, basically our entire lives. So Joe Douglas, he's been my guy. You know, he's someone that when we first got him, he's nodding his head over here. I can't stand him. Joe Fraudless. We were 2 hours we were 2 hours into free agency or with 30 minutes. I don't know. We were within the first couple hours, and this guy over here is calling him Joe Fraudless. And then he goes, typo. Oh, my bad. I forgot.
It was supposed to say applaud.
Applaud. Yeah. I hate when that happens.
Applaudeless.
Typos suck sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
typos
they do.
Suck sometimes.
But you mentioned it. We had holes at guard, safety, corner. We still have other holes we need to address, like wide receiver. I think we need another linebacker, interior defensive line as well. But overall, what I love the most about all of the signings these Jets made, one, a lot of these guys come from championship teams. Laken Tomlinson, guard from San Francisco. He was on that Super Bowl roster. He was also on the team last year who went to the NFC Championship game. He's played 16 games for 4 straight seasons. In 7 years, he's only missed 1 game. That's been one of the biggest problems with the Jets over the last few years is everyone gets hurt. And Laken Tomlinson is, a pillar of stability, someone who's going to be durable, being able to stay healthy and really hold down that right guard position. He was the 13th ranked guard by PFF. More of a run blocker than a pass blocker, but that's fine because LaFleur's offense is still going to run in that power zone scheme. Jordan Whitehead, another player on the Bucks, won a championship just 2 years ago with Tom Brady. Someone who has physicality, someone that is going to be a clear upgrade at safety, whether he plays strong or free safety. He plays really well in the slot. You know, he lined up almost 200 snaps in the slot, and he was one of the better slot, in this case, slot corners, even though he does play safety, but he's a great run defender as well. Someone who's only 25 years old, 2 years, $14 million, a very cheap contract, especially when you compare it to someone like Marcus Williams, who got $14 million from the Ravens. Obviously, he could do a bit more in coverage, but even still, being able to get someone who allowed the fourth lowest quarterback rating when targeted, and he's still considered a run, supporting safety. And then talking about DJ Reed, someone from Seattle, 3 years, $33 million. Corner was a huge need for us, and he's someone who's versatile. He played left side, right side. He also played the slot later or earlier in his career, only 25 years old. At first, you might see his 5'9" frame and think he can't be physical or can't really play up to par with these guys who are 6 foot, 6'1" and taller, but he plays physical. He's only 5'9", 190, but he's someone who's going to get in your face. He's good against press. He had some really good. I saw some tape on Twitter of him against Devontae Adams. He had a few snaps there where he really shut him down too. Obviously, throughout the game, Tay's going to get his, but just being able to do that and have those moments where you could be a shutdown corner. He was ranked as the 8th best corner by PFF. I was actually shocked to see Seattle let him go. I know they re-upped Quandre Diggs, but I would expect someone like DJ Reed to be high on their list. Someone who's 25, ascending, only getting better year after year. And CJ Uzomah, a steady tight end, not flashy, but just had a career high in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Someone who's a security blanket for Joe Burrow. I think he's going to do the same for Zach Wilson. So the fact that you're getting all of these guys who have been on winning teams, can bring a winning culture to the Jets. Most of these guys have stayed healthy. CJ Uzomah dealt with injuries in 2020, but since 2018, he's been extremely durable, only missing a handful of games here and there. And that's really been the biggest issue with the Jets over these last few seasons. So overall, I think these guys not only are good players on the field, but also bring good culture to the Jets.
That was beautiful. I'm going to talk about the Jets. They're definitely one of my winners, but I'm going to save the best for last because I got a lot to say about them. You mentioned it, the Chargers. They, to me, won this free agency period by a landslide.
Even over your Jets.
Yes. At least in the beginning stages of this free agency, they've won. J.C. Jackson, 5-year, $82.5 million deal. Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson they also got from the Giants, Khalil Mack. When they got Khalil Mack, it was always, the new thing was, they need a defensive tackle. They signed J.C. Jackson first. Then it was like, they still need a defensive tackle. Boom. A couple hours later, Sebastian Joseph Day going to the Chargers. The Chargers are now the best team in the AFC West. I don't care. We're going to talk about the AFC West later, and I'm going to go in depth on it. To me, they are Super Bowl contenders, and man, the only thing that can stop them is injuries. Khalil Mack was hurt last year. We know Joey Bosa doesn't have the best history of staying healthy. Derwin James is like that as well. But this Chargers defense is going to be great. The offense was already great last year. They won, to me, the free agency period. Next up, Baltimore Ravens. Marcus Williams. They've needed a safety that's a ball hawk like Williams. You look at the history of players who have played that position for them. Ed Reed, Rod Woodson. They need that ball hawk, somebody that can create turnovers, and that's what Marcus Williams is. I would have loved him to be on the Jets, but the Ravens paid a little bit more than Joe Douglas was willing to pay him.
The Jets probably would have to pay even more than that because he wants to probably play for a contender.
You guys aren't contenders?
I don't think in Marcus Williams or the rest of the NFL's eyes.
Bastard.
That's really funny coming from you.
Team's better than yours.
Marcus Williams. I thought it was a great signing for the Ravens. And then they got Zadarius Smith, who used to be a Raven, left to go to Green Bay. But Green Bay now, they cut him, so he was a free agent. Going to Baltimore, I think Jason Owe with Zadarius Smith there is going to be good. Who knows if they bring back Calais Campbell, but that would be a huge get if they can bring him back. This Ravens defense looks like it can go from one that was mediocre this past season to now being a top 10 defense again because They're getting Marcus Peters back. You still got Marlon Humphrey. You got Marcus Williams now. You have an elite edge presence in Zadarius Smith when healthy. And Owe, I think he was raw, but he finished top 30 in pressures this past season. He's a guy who has all the physical tools to be a great player. He might come into his own this upcoming season. So the Ravens won as well. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think getting Levi
100%.
Wallace, he's a starting corner. He instantly becomes their best corner. Getting James Daniels, who I think you can place him anywhere.
Guard.
Right guard, left guard, center. It doesn't matter. He's versatile. His natural position is center, and that's what he played in college. He also played about 400 snaps of it in 2019 or 2018. So James Daniels is versatile, and I think he's going to improve their offensive line. They signed Miles Jack. You now have Miles Jack, Joe Schobert,
They actually
and Devin
just cut
Bush.
Joe Sherbert.
Joe Sherbert just got cut. I was expecting
Literally
that
right
because
now?
Like 10 minutes ago, yeah.
yeah, I was expecting that because
Say about 10 mil.
yeah, you just brought in Miles Jack. He's basically a more athletic version of Joe Schobert. Even though he struggled this past season, I think the Steelers, Devin Bush and Miles Jack, the athleticism they bring at that position and coverage is going to be huge. If they can be disciplined, this is a huge get. And I thought Mitch Trubisky was a good signing. I know people are, they have this negative perception about Mitch Trubisky. I think he was scapegoated in Chicago. I'm not the biggest Trubisky fan, but I give guys fair chances. And I can say with certainty that Mitch Trubisky is going to be a better quarterback this upcoming season for the Steelers than Big Ben was for the Steelers this past season. And now Mitch is going to have his best supporting cast of offensive weapons he's ever had. But now to the New York Jets. I don't quite think the NFL is ready for what the New York Jets are about to become. The guys we signed, you mentioned it, Laken Tomlinson, championship pedigree. He didn't win it, but he got there to the Super Bowl and then the NFC Championship. He has a winning mentality. Hasn't missed a game since 2018. Jordan Whitehead, physical safety, great at stopping the run in a division where we have to face Josh Allen. We're not worried about Tua. We have to face Josh Allen, who runs and averages 56 yards per game rushing on us. Jordan Whitehead was a huge get. We don't got to worry about Mac Jones or Tua, though. They're not going nowhere. Championship player, Jordan Whitehead, won it with the Bucs in 2020. CJ Uzomah got to the Super Bowl with the Bengals, was the heart and soul of that team, leadership-wise, played through an injury. And DJ Reed, I mean, this guy, even though he hasn't won in Seattle much or at all, in 2019, he was on that roster in San Fran. He was there. He was on that team that made the Super Bowl. He didn't play much, but he was on that team. He's one of the best run stoppers at the corner positions, one of the better tacklers at the corner position. He's undersized, but he's physical, and he plays taller than he is. The Jets signed a bunch of winners, proven players that stay healthy for the most part. And we're not done yet. And the league is not, I tweeted this out the other day, and people seem to think I'm joking when I tweet these things out. It's not for reaction. I tweeted, the AFC is going to be absolutely stacked at quarterback. It was a picture of Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Zach Wilson. People laugh at that picture, and they say, one guy doesn't deserve to be here. Okay, come back and say that next year after this season and see what happens.
I found it just super ironic that he included Herbert, but not his boy Burrow. That's what I honestly was
Herbert is
shocked
more
at.
talented. That's why I gave him the nod.
Interesting.
We had very long debates about Herbert and Burrow back in the day, but I'm not going to get on my
Back in
fellow
the day, it was
Jets
like a
fan.
couple weeks ago.
Even worse.
This is what I'm saying.
trying to look out.
Whether it's this upcoming season or in year 3, Zach Wilson's going to take that leap.
So
and
now we're pushing it
cement
back another year now.
And that's usually what it is sometimes. See, Josh Allen blossomed in year 3. That's what it was.
Made the playoffs in year 2.
Okay, but he became elite in year 3.
Are you guys making the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like that.
The AFC is stacked.
Okay, you're not making the playoffs.
AFC is
All right.
stacked.
I'll say this.
We're going to be in the wild card hunt
The
come
Jets-
December for sure.
The Jets will be in the hunt for a playoff spot for sure. I'll tell you this, though. We're finishing second in the AFC East, without a doubt.
Yeah,
We're going to be better than Miami. We'll be better than New England.
New England's going to fall off because we've seen this in the past where usually teams who sign a lot of free agents, the notion is they take a step back in year one. But over the last few years, the teams that have spent the most actually get worse in year two. Year one, they get a little bit of a bump. Year two, they come down a bit. And I think New England's left. Josh McDaniels also left. I think New England got figured out. New England got figured out down the stretch, and we saw that Mac Jones started to regress down the middle of the season. They were disgusting, right? We thought they had a chance to be a sleeper for the Super Bowl. It became obvious down the stretch that their offense got figured out. The defense is still going to be great, but they're just extremely limited, especially with their weapons.
As I was saying, people seem to think I'm joking about that I do it to get reaction. Maybe that's a part of it, because I know people think it sounds crazy. But
both working from home.
There we go. Is that you? Is that you?
It might have been. Yeah. I just edited that out. People seem to think that I'm crazy when I do that. I know when people see those pictures, they think it's crazy. But the thing is that
mine's muted.
Yours. Okay.
Honestly, I don't have anything open, but go ahead.
People seem to think that I'm crazy for saying that. But the truth is that I'm just a visionary. That's all it is.
I like that.
And I see what Zach Wilson is going to become. I see how he carries himself. That's a franchise quarterback. And the Jets, behind the Chargers, won free agency. And we're not done yet.
We're not
done.
My favorite part about the Jets move so far and what I've seen over the roster construction over these last 2 years is you have to build the foundation before you could go out and spend all of this big money on marquee free agents. We saw McCagnon in 2019. The Jets didn't have a foundation. We had a bad offensive line. The defense wasn't there. We didn't have the pieces to be able to go out and get the CJ Mosleys and the Le'Veon Bells because there was nothing behind them. So when you spend all of this money on these top-tier guys and you have no depth behind them, it's not going to work out. We're going to get into the losers a little bit, and I feel like one of these teams is kind of like that too. These 2022 Jets, on the other hand, the foundation's been built over these last 2 seasons. The offensive line has the potential to be a top 5 in the league if Mekhi Becton can stay healthy. We have depth at receiver. We have a starting running back. We have guys on defense now that we could go out and spend some money to get the star players, right? DJ Reed and Whitehead might not be stars, but they're going to be clear upgrades without paying $15 to $20 million like we've seen with the J.C. Jackson of the world, like Marcus Williams got. And Joe Douglas is always going to be very smart with his money. And all of these contracts are 2-3 year deals. We're not signing 5-year contracts and getting stuck, in these long-term deals where we're going to be a guy that's 34 years old. We have to, pay him a $20 million cap hit. It's $10 million in dead money if we cut him. Joe Douglas is going to do that. Lincoln Tomlinson is the only player who's 30 or older. All of these other guys are around 25.
Before you paint, you got to put the sheetrock in. And that's what the New York Jets are doing. I want to speak to every Jets fan that's watching this right now. We're heading in the right direction. The Jets, the New York Jets, once a franchise that's a laughingstock and some people still want to laugh at us, is now becoming a respectable organization because of that man, J.D. Joe Douglas. That's why. And because he drafted the right quarterback in Zach Wilson. This free agency, DJ Reed, Laken Tomlinson, Jordan Whitehead, CJ Uzomah. Don't sleep on the Jets. We're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. That's for sure.
And a couple names I just wanted to mention that we skipped over for the Chargers and Ravens. Chargers won, re-signing Mike Williams. 3 years, $60 million. It does seem like a lot of money, but they could get out of it in 2 seasons. 2024, they could cut him with little dead money. And then the Ravens brought in Morgan Moses, a huge upgrade, I think, at tackle. He was a top 20 run blocker, according to PFF. That was definitely a need for them, offensive line as well as defense. So those are just 2 names we skipped over, but important to highlight.
All right, so you're saying that the Jets can compete for a playoff
We're going to be in the hunt.
All right, I'm
sure.
going to name some teams. You tell me if you think that you guys can finish over them. The Bengals.
Yep.
You can finish over the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the Bengals their respect.
All right. Well, the Raiders were in the playoffs last year.
We'll be better than the Raiders.
You guys do believe you're going to be second in the East, so I'm assuming you're going to be
This is
higher
all
than the Patriots.
not like a definite, but possibility. Yes.
Okay, Patriots.
and Dolphins.
Okay, Steelers,
Yes.
Colts,
Yes.
I agree. Broncos,
No.
Chargers,
No.
Ravens.
No.
All right, clearly Chiefs, no.
Nope.
Bills, no.
Nope.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
Yeah. Weak division.
interesting.
Will be better than Jacksonville.
I think it's
Tennessee.
easier to say like what teams will make the playoffs over us. Like
That's why I'm naming playoff teams.
This is how I view things. We're going to be better than the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Titans, the Jaguars, the Texans, and maybe the Colts. I think the AFC South, there's a possibility the team that wins that division only wins like 8 games.
there's only 4 teams I see without a doubt being better than us: the Bills, Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers.
What about us?
Sorry, not the Raiders, the Broncos. Those are the only 4 teams where I think without a doubt.
You got to put the Bengals there, bro.
I know what you're really low on them.
I'm not
They
low
just
on
made the Super Bowl.
I'm not
bro.
low on the Bengals. The NFL is such a year-to-year league where like things change so easily that I don't see the Bengals repeating it and going to the Super Bowl again.
Like Joe mentioned, I'll mention the teams that'll be better than us. AFC West, 3 teams for sure. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. AFC East, the Bills. AFC North, the Ravens, Bengals.
Like we got to remember the Bengals, they went 10-7.
They
were a game away from not making the playoffs.
Spot, AFC South, I think only one team in the AFC South will be better than us. That's it. I think the Jets will be between the 8th to 10th best team in the AFC.
So you guys won't get in.
Well, you never know. I mean, we're going to be in the hunt.
Because
okay.
That's the only thing about Cincy. I understand they went to the Super Bowl, but it's not like they were dominating the entire league. They went 14-3 and they just coasted. Like they went 10-7. They lose one game, they're out of the playoffs.
They were a young raw team. And
they were
just so
but then they also
talented
played
that
the
it ended up
Raiders.
resulting in the Super Bowl.
Raiders round 1, a pretty weak playoff team. Tennessee round 2 with a hobbled Derrick Henry.
Seed.
But one of the worst number 1 seeds we've seen in a while. And then to their credit, they beat KC and they went and lost in the Super Bowl. But like the Raiders in Tennessee, it's not like they're these world beaters. You know, they were decent. They were good teams. But if you just look a possibility, it wouldn't like who would have thought the Bengals were going to the Super Bowl next year? Or last year. So I can't be like, there's no way we can't be better than the Bengals next year.
We got bigger fish to fry. I have some we could say, but we got other things to talk about.
So just to recap our free agency winners, these are the teams I think that are winning free agency so far. The New York Jets, LA Chargers, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Buffalo Bills. I put the Bills there.
Buffalo Bills now are winners after one.
Von Miller is huge, and OJ.
And Roger
Another
Saffold.
weapon.
They already had
And Tim
Knox there
Settle.
already, though.
They need another weapon.
Bro, Tim Settle.
They need another weapon, sure, for sure.
Bro,
Which
Tim
is why
Settle-
before we recorded, they were one of my losers because they'd made no moves.
Bro, Tim Settle, Roger Saffold, Von Miller, OJ Howard. That's a great free agency.
I also
And if they
brought in Von Miller, I can
And if
get
they
on
would
board.
have gotten J.D. McKissick, oh my gosh.
No, not getting
McKissick
Jaden
would have been
McKissick was definitely a big part of it. They got played there. No way around it.
And one team that we didn't mention that I still think are winners, even though they lost a couple of guys, I think Tampa Bay. You know, getting Tom Brady back, being able to get they lost Jensen retired, Kappa.
Shaq Mason.
Yeah, they traded for Shaq Mason and
Russell Gage, too.
Russell Gage. I'm trying to pull up because I can't remember the name of the offensive lineman they retained.
Jensen.
Ryan Jensen, he's center.
I thought
No,
he's
Ali
retired.
Marpet. Ali
Marpet retired. There it is. Jensen, yeah, who seemed like he was on the fence about leaving. There was a whole bunch of teams that were interested in him. He ended up coming back because of Brady, bringing in Russell Gage because you're going to lose Antonio Brown. He's not going to be back. And I understand losing Alex Kappa hurts to Cincinnati and OJ Howard to an extent, but they just brought back Cameron Brate on a restructured deal. So, and on top of it, getting Tom Brady to come back.
So your winners are?
My winners are the New York Jets, Chargers, Ravens, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
My winners actually are the Chargers, the Jets, and I have the Bengals as my winners as well. You have it where last year their biggest hole was offensive line, and they happened to make it to the Super Bowl with one of They happened to make it to the Super Bowl with one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Now, they go out and they bring in 2 offensive linemen to fill those needs. Ted Karras, who had a great pass block grade of 76.9, and you bring in Alex Kappa, who's pretty solid on both sides, run block and pass block. I think that was a great addition to this offensive line, and free agency is still going. They still have cap room. They still can make a play for Teron Armstead. So I definitely look at the Bengals as one of my winners as well.
There's also a video circulating of Gronk saying there's a very good chance to be back in Tampa. No surprise, but getting him back is going to be huge too.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be back.